Hello one and all, my name is Ryan Bruce. My friends call me Fluff, and today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we shoot out a Diezel VH2 and a Diezel VH4. So a couple of months ago, I got a Diezel VH2, and really it was my first revisiting of the Diezel line, and I am very, very happy with the tones that I have had, both with my own videos, but also I've used the hell out of this thing with reamping mixes for bands, doing songs and having a lot of studio work and layering guitars and such with the VH2. It's just really been an all-encompassing go-to amplifier for me personally. However, a bunch of you commented about how different the VH2 is versus the actual VH4 on which it is based on now. There are a massive amount of differences between the VH4 and the VH2, namely the VH4 is a 4-channel amplifier, whereas the VH2 is a 2-channel amplifier. However, sonic differences, we're gonna find out today. And before we go any further, this video is brought to you by the fine folks over at Sweetwater. Whether you're shopping for an inexpensive amp, a starter amp, a practice amp, a travel amp, or a big expensive boutique amp, Sweetwater has got you. I will link down below in the description if you'd like to know more info about Sweetwater. However, all thoughts and opinions are still mine. So the Diezel VH2 is the latest addition to the amplifier line for Diezel amps. However, it's basically, as I understand it, a greatest hits of such based on the VH4. However, tonal differences aside, there is a $1,500 price difference between these two amplifiers. Now, with the VH4, you obviously get 4 channels, you get full MIDI capability, you get individual channel sorts on all 4 channels, you get multiple effects loops, you have a amp mute, you have a bunch of MIDI implementation, and you have bright switches on a couple of the channels, whereas the VH2 has 2 channels, 2 master volumes, effects loop, presence, and depth. And that is it. It's meant to be, like I said, the greatest hits, a much more stripped down version of everything that the VH4 offers, okay? Now, the VH4 has gone through many, many iterations since its introduction in the early 90s, and there are many, many different revisions, circuit revisions of the Diezel VH4. It's always being fine-tuned by Peter and company. This is a brand new VH4. This is a brand new VH2, okay? So if you guys want to argue about the differences between the Blueface and all the various revisions of the VH4 in the comments, by all means, go for it. This video is not to argue those differences. We're just gonna casually kind of switch between the VH4 and the VH2. Now I have the VH2 and the VH4 hooked up to the N-Audio 8x7 amp switcher, and I am using my Music Man Sabre. It's just a stock regular Sabre, and yeah, that's basically it. This is a dead simple A and B. This is not meant to be super scientific. However, both amplifiers are going into a fractal load box, an X load, and I'm using an Ownhammer Mesa Boogie 412 impulse for both amplifiers. And yeah, everything's consistent and nice, and I have pre-matched the volumes as best as I can. When you mess with the gain, the volume does fluctuate, as you will see in just a second. So I did the best I can as a starting point. Yeah, let's just hang out, twist some knobs, and see how these two amplifiers compare. All right, so I have the VH2 on top. I have the VH4 down here below. Watch the indicator that is on your screen to know which amplifier you are hearing at any given time. Both of these amplifiers is going into the N-Audio 8x7 amp switcher, and I am wired up with all GatorWorks cable works, or Gator cable works rather, all the way through, and I'm using my completely stock Ernie Ball Music Man Sabre. Stock pickups, stock everything. I am in drop D. We're gonna start with the clean channels and then kind of work our way through the amplifiers as best we can, given the VH2 is a 2-channel amplifier and the VH4 is a 4-channel amplifier. So without further ado, let's start with the VH2. VH4. They're different, they're ballpark. I want you to notice the differences though, where I have the EQ. So on the clean channel, channel 1 on the VH4, The low end is basically dimed, along with the deep knob is dimed. The middle is almost totally off, and the treble is like 11 o'clock, right? Whereas the VH2, my low end is at about 1:30, 2 o'clock. The mids are straight up the middle at noon, and my treble is at like 1 o'clock, with the deep at about 1 o'clock as well. The VH2 definitely has a lot more low end overall to give, right? And even though the low end is reduced on the VH2, it's still quite, more present and significant than the VH4. However, we can get to the VH4 by just backing up the low end, honestly. Okay, now that we're on the VH4, let's go ahead and go to channel 2. We're gonna start gaining it up a little bit. This is like a crunch channel. And I'm gonna switch over to channel 2 on the VH2. I'm probably a little bit more gained out, but we'll get there. Right now we're on the VH4, channel 2. Channel 2 VH2. Let's back that gain way down. Back it down even more. I'm gonna turn the volume down slightly on channel 2. Now you'll notice the EQs are a little closer for the crunch channel. I have the low end here at 1 o'clock. I have the mids again at noon, and the treble at about 1 o'clock. Gain for channel 2 is at noon. Gain here on the VH2 is at just above 9 o'clock. But the EQ is generally close to what it is on the VH4. And notice I do not have the bright switch on the VH4. Still a little loud. I would say in this kind of tone, the mid-range crunchy kind of tone, the VH4 has a little bit more sauce, a little bit more punch. VH2. Now we could try to go back to the clean channel on the VH2 and kind of boost the gain up. Let's see if we can get there this way. I'm going to add a lot of volume to that, so I'm going to decrease my volume substantially. It can almost get there. It ballparks it, but it doesn't quite get there with the channel 2 on the VH4. A lot of lowing going on. We're definitely ballpark. Let's move on to channel 3 on the VH4. Hear the low mids that the VH2 has. It's pretty cool. These two channels are definitely very, very similar. Now notice on the third channel on the VH4, the gain is just past noon, whereas right now on the VH2, I'm at like 11 o'clock, right? I could bump in some more mids. All right, maybe less mids. We're ballpark, but definitely, you know, they are certainly different. Now let's move on to channel 4 of the VH4. Much thicker. I'll bump up the mid-range. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce more mid-range to channel 2 on the VH2. Notice the VH2 has a lot more low mids to it. It's a little girthier sounding. There's a lot of detail in the VH4. I'm going to actually turn down the deep control on the VH2 and let's see how this compares, because keep in mind, the low end we're hearing out of the VH4, the deep is still basically pegged. So there's not a ton of low end comparatively to the VH2. Yeah, the VH2 still has a lot more low end. Let's back that off a little bit. Bump up the mids. So what do I think? I mean, the VH2 is awesome. It's really been a utilitarian amplifier for me personally. However, the VH4 has the sauce. Like, the VH4 is awesome. Now, as noted at the top of this video, there is a $1,500 difference between both of these amplifiers. The VH2 retails for about $3,000, $29.99, and the VH4 at the time of this filming is $44.99. That is a ton of money to pay for a single amplifier. And most of you that are watching this video will probably never buy a VH4 because you can probably spend, you know, that same amount of money on multiple amplifiers that cost less, namely, you know, the EVH stuff and things like that. However, the VH4 is legendary for a reason, and it offers something that most amplifiers do not, and that is just this really nice, it's like a modern Marshall-y, but it's its own thing kind of flavor, and it is definitely its own unique thing, and it's a really, really great amp. No wonder guys like, you know, Tool and Metallica use this thing on the daily. I will link down below in the description if you'd like to know more information on any of the things I've used in this video. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.